Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
I'm Carmen.
And I'm Tyler Janae.
This is the Friendly Black Girls podcast, and we are the Friendly Black Girls. Hey, Tyler.
Hey, Carmen.
We're back again to talk about some friendship stuff.
Some real good stuff today.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
You know, this episode is about ghosting.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it before, and you were guilty. How do you feel about being a culprit in this?
You know, it hurts my feelings that I am.
It hurts your feelings that you're a culprit?
That I am the culprit, but you know,
okay.
I'm learning. I'm getting there.
Okay, all right. I see you got on your cowboy boots. Where you going today?
This ain't Texas.
I love it. Before Beyonce came out with that album, I was already like cowboy aesthetic obsessed. So I'm glad I get to like live my truth through Beyonce.
I'm like, y'all gonna see these again, not just the Renaissance concert, okay?
Speaking of aesthetics, I came across this quiz online called What is Your Black Girl Aesthetic? Okay, so you and I both took the quiz. All right, so what I ended up getting, and we'll put this quiz in our notes, in our episode notes, as well as in our stories. But I thought this was really cool. So I ended up getting crazy, sexy, cool. So it says, you're the coolest in the crew. Your dope t-shirt collection is unmatched. And I love me a good t-shirt, like one that has like the sayings on it. I just love that. Your style is constantly changing, which is true. And you belong in our cute and casual gear. Now, when it said casual, I was kind of like, because your girl likes to throw on a heel.
I wouldn't consider casual. I mean,
yeah,
casual.
you know, I got but it is what it is, you know. And it says one day you're channeling your early 90s, which I loved because I'm obsessed with the 90s. And it says, you know, you're kind of there around the way girl. And next you're matching pieces with your favorite athleisure. So I thought that was pretty accurate.
Okay.
What did you get?
I got the self-care sister.
Okay.
Which I'm like, I don't
Is
know
that
when I connect
really
self-care with my aesthetic, but okay. So it says that I am a go with the flow type of gal, and the same can be said of my fashion sense. So in a sense, right? So it just depending on how I'm feeling in the day, I might, you know, want to wear all black, which is very rare because I'm a pink girl. It says bright colors and soft hues resonate with me.
You having a bright dress right now?
Yeah, I like bright colors.
Okay.
For sure. And it says that I love loungewear and chilling at home, and my space reflects it 100%.
Okay.
100%. Anything relaxing. So self-care in the home, like decor, is my vibe. But I don't know if I would match with my
your
aesthetic.
Okay. All right.
But thinking of that, thinking about, you know, looking good and stuff, I want to talk about a hot topic.
Okay.
Which has to do with, you know, photos and content and being someone called the memory keeping friend.
I've never heard of that.
So this is that friend who's like, you know, doing all the, pose, do this, turn around, pull your shirt down a little bit, do
my
that
favorite
again.
friend. Hey, girl.
So I have a quick video clip that I want to share, and I want you to give me your thoughts on it.
Another thing, I've been seeing a lot of posts about memory keeping friends, but can we really talk about how the memory keeping friends never has any memories kept of them? You're always behind the camera. I'm going to speak as a memory keeping friend, always taking videos. I'm always sending you videos like, hey, remember this, blah, blah, blah. But we never get videos taken of us. No one ever sends us videos of ourselves. No one ever takes candids of us. Like, can we really talk about it? You guys ever think about it? Maybe I should start taking little like snippets of her, because she always got me down with the videos, with the random candid videos. But I never take one of her. You guys need to start appreciating your memory keeping friends better. One day we're all gonna go on strike. We're gonna go on strike. And then you will not have videos to post on your 2024 dump. Because if you get rid of all the memory keeping friends, what are you going to post on your recap? All of you. Start memory keeping for them. It's not only you people that can have nice candid videos or nice off-guard pictures. Some of us also want it reciprocated. Please.
Thoughts?
I don't want to sound insensitive. I don't. But is the solution not just for you to just pass the camera over to your other friends?
No. Let's talk about it.
Okay, let's get into it. Because I'm just like,
I resonate with this so much because in my phone, I have folders and collections of all of the things we've done, you know, outfits, everything. And like I said, I'm always a friend like, okay, go stand over there. Oh, that's a really cute picture over there. But then I pass the phone to my friend, like you said, and they be like, click, click. All right, you good. Here you go. And I'll be like,
oh, so they're not giving you as much effort.
no, I'm like, so where's the effort with me? Like, why you didn't tell me I had lipstick on my teeth? Why you didn't get my shoes in the shot? And so if you ask them to take it again, some of them, oh my God, you know I don't take pictures like you do. And then...
so you're like the designated person.
yeah, but where are my memories?
Oh, I'm sorry, Tyler. Would you like me to take your picture?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, initially, my initial thought is just pass the phone over. But I hear you when you say not everyone is as into or doesn't take as much care with the situation. But with me, for this young lady, it sounded like she was just saying like she's just the ghost. She's in the background and nobody ever sees her because she's the memory keeping friend. And we got
some comments. People are telling us their thoughts. So we got Janelle Lovings who said, I feel seen because ain't no proof I was even there.
Now, ma'am, why you didn't go on and put your elbow in the picture or something?
Just a little quick pose.
Lean in.
I am Cherika said, that's why I stopped. She said, I remember I asked for pictures of myself, and that's the day I said I was done. So I'm assuming she didn't like those very much.
Okay.
Somebody else, Ambitious Jay said, I say strike, cut the camera, delete the memory. Maybe they'll get the message. Signed, a memory keeping ass delete.
Friend. So she's just gonna hit delete on all her photographs.
Basically, yeah.
Dang.
You never had a friend who, when they take pictures of you, it's kind of like you could tell they're not really
into it.
They're not really, you know.
They're not doing their job.
And then you leave, you go home, you're looking at your picture, you're trying to edit it.
Now, one thing I can't stand is somebody take your picture and they just do it real quick and the camera's almost like moving as they're taking the picture and it's blurry and it's like, did you even...
No, they didn't.
Did you even look?
Click.
Do you even know what this photograph looks like?
Looking over here.
Not them taking a picture with their head turned. That's crazy. No, I feel that. No, I do feel that. One of the things that I saw, because I did go to this video, a young lady commented, and I resonated with this comment. She said, it might not be a lack of appreciation. I am a very in the moment person, and I may or may not even think about taking a picture. If my memory keeping friend wants more pictures of themselves, it would be great if they communicated so I can reciprocate instead of assuming I don't appreciate them. We all experience moments in different ways.
Communication is key.
It's always communication.
You can't just be mad because they didn't, you know, you got to be like, you know what, I really want you to get some pictures of me too.
I'm the memory keeping friend. I'm on strike. I want my picture taken. Simple.
Don't just assume that they're like hating or they don't want to take pictures of you. They just don't be in the same mindset.
That's it. So I don't know. Tell us in the comments, ladies. Are you the memory keeping friend? Do you now feel bad because you realize you have a memory keeping friend who you are not showing appreciation to? Let us know in the comments. I want to know, when you get into a relationship, do you start acting funny? Do you cut your friends off?
Okay.
Something is telling me you do.
Okay, I've been there before.
And you're recovering.
I'm recovering. I feel like in this relationship that I'm in now, I wouldn't say that's the case, but it does get a little weird sometimes, especially when your counterpart does not like a certain friend based off of things they've done to you or things they just be outside doing.
Oh,
that's where it gets hard.
That's a whole nother So do you have to limit your time spent with a friend if your boyfriend or even your husband is like, I don't like you hanging with her because I see what she gets into. I see what she does, or I've seen what she has done to you. Wow, is that a good valid reason?
And is there a difference between boyfriend and husband?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like if your husband says, I'm not feeling that, or like I can see something that you don't see, should you listen to that more than you would just a regular relationship?
I don't know, that's hard because for me, I'm just like, my friend is my friend.
Yeah.
You don't really get to tell me who's my friend. Sorry. But the girls, I do know some girls who will quickly disappear once they get into relationships. They'll disappear. You won't hear from them. They can't go nowhere. They can't do nothing. I mean, I don't like that. I don't think that that's really a good practice because if that relationship ends, guess who you're gonna be coming back to?
Yeah, and I had to. My friend had to pull me straight to the side. She had to pull me by my wig, and she was like, "Look, I ain't seen you in 6 months. What you doing?
What y'all doing over there in that house,
man?" But just quickly for me, it was because I hadn't been in a relationship for a very long time, so I was trying to balance everything, and I didn't really know what I was, how it was affecting my friend.
Okay.
And then she broke it down and she told me about myself, and ever since then we make sure that we have scheduled time that we hang out and we don't miss out on those times.
Okay, so have you ever had a scenario where you had a friend, a boyfriend, and he didn't like you hanging out with a specific friend? Mm-hmm. Okay, what happened?
I mean, I just told him, I'm like, look, like, this is my friend. You're going to have to love it or hate it. I don't know what to tell you. Because he tried to dangle it, like birds of a feather flock together. If she doing this, how do I know you not doing this? And she's single and you not. So what are y'all doing? Like, tried to make a whole narrative, but I had to put my foot down and tell him, like, look.
That birds of a feather is going to get you every time when somebody says that to you. It's
like,
do birds of a feather flock together?
I'm like, you don't know her.
But then I'm like, no. We're all different. But today's episode is about ghosting. So we're talking about friendships and how they might hit certain challenges or roadblocks, and then we might not hear from that person no more. They might just completely disappear off the map, whether they've gotten in a relationship, whether you all have encountered some sort of conflict or whatever, the relationship changes in that way. And so we have a very special guest today that we are getting ready to introduce. Her name is Imani Hines. Welcome, Imani. How are you?
I'm well. Happy to be here.
Yes, welcome to the Friendly Black Girls podcast. We are excited to get into this topic because we talked about this topic a lot on this show already, and we talk about it on our social media page sometimes. Ghosting. But before we get into that, please tell the people who you are, what you do, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, so my name is Imani Hines. I am a licensed professional counselor here in Atlanta, Georgia. I am the face behind and owner of Exalt the Light LLC. It is a private practice here in Atlanta.
All right.
So I'm a therapist.
There we go. People. That's exactly what we need is a therapist up in here today. Yes. But before we get into the stuff, I want to get into something. I want to get into some reality TV drama. Okay, so I don't know if any of you watch Married to Medicine, but Quad is on there, and she has been a character that the ladies have been butting heads with recently. And one of the reasons is because they felt like she wasn't a friend that was around. Like, she would ghost them and she would disappear. And but when the time came for them to support her, she wanted their support, and she just wasn't really being present in their eyes. But she was saying, hey, I had a lot going on in my life. I just got things. So during the reunion recently, she apologized. And I thought it was a pretty good apology. She acknowledged, she said, but she started crying and saying all of these things, right? So it got me to thinking, what is a good apology? What is an apology that's really just good enough for you to accept from a friend to make you move in the new direction? Okay. So I came across a couple of things on the internet. And with the internet, we can never know if it's true or not. So we're going to get your opinion on it once I read it. Okay. So these are what not to say when you're apologizing. I'm sorry you took it that way. If this upsets you, that's your problem. I didn't mean it like that. Which I'm on the fence about that one because I'm like, sometimes that's real. Sorry, didn't think this was such a big deal. Other people wouldn't get so upset about this. I'm sorry, but, and fine, whatever. Sorry. Happy now?
Ooh.
Now, if you say that to me, baby. Okay, anyway, ma'am.
Demoted. No,
Demoted. What do you think about apologies, and what is the best way to approach an apology when you know your friend has made it clear that you've hurt them?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me with apologies is apology without change is not an apology. So I think the first thing is accountability. So in that apology, are you taking ownership of how you've shown up, how you've maybe you didn't realize you were showing up that way, but being able to hear what people have to say about it and acknowledge that, owning that. I think that's the main part. And then from there, how do we work towards solutions? So if you recognize you've been showing up this way, what are we going to do different now? How are we going to work on our friendship going forward?
Yeah.
So that's the main thing with apologies for me. Going back to some of the examples you gave, most of those were like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. But there was one where it's like, because sometimes you don't mean what you did. But when we say we don't mean it, it's because of how we show up, how we live our lives, and we don't realize how we impact people. And that's a very real statement, but are you willing to hear how people received you?
Ooh.
I think that's the biggest part. Yeah.
Tyler, do you have an issue apologizing? Like, is that a thing for you?
I don't have an issue saying the words. Right? Some people are just like, I can't say sorry. Like, I'll be like, girl, I apologize. My bad. I didn't mean it. And then go about my business. But I like what you said about, having to actually take accountability and change. That's the hard part, especially if I really, truly don't feel like I did anything wrong,
It's hard for me.
Yeah?
It's hard for me.
To say it or to change?
I think to say it if I feel like I didn't do anything wrong. Like, I think it's hard, but I think clearly that's a toxic trait. And I think I understand that sometimes apologies are necessary, especially if you want to move in a different direction. And if you hurt somebody that you care about, you should want to apologize. You should apologize.
Even when you don't think you did anything wrong.
But that's a real space, though.
That's the
Sometimes we
hard
really
part.
don't do anything wrong, but because of how they received it, it's wrong for them. And that is a sticky. Ooh, that's sticky.
So when we're in that scenario, what do you suggest?
Ooh, because I've actually experienced this.
Okay.
Going back to what I said around just people realizing that people experience things from their scope, from their lens in which they see the world, in which they see people. So I think when you're apologizing, it's like being able to say, I apologize for how I made you feel. And that was not my intention, but I can't tell you how you experienced me.
Write that down.
Right?
Sincerely.
Type that down.
Right? So it's really acknowledging, like, I didn't realize I came off this way, but to you, you're saying I did. And I can't take that from you.
Yeah.
But
I don't want to invalidate your experience.
Exactly.
No, I've had a very interesting apology recently that I would like you to kind of tell me.
You want her to dissect it?
So I basically told a friend I wasn't feeling something that she did. And she kind of came back to me like, well, I'm sorry I don't do anything right. And I'm sorry, I'm just not a good friend. I'm not good enough for you. Like, and just started going on this whole tangent.
She had
and
been
I was
holding
like,
that in for a while.
Whoa.
I was like, oh my God. But I was like, no, I feel like you're gaslighting me or trying to manipulate me or something to make me feel bad. So what are your thoughts on that?
So my initial thoughts is she has some stuff underlying.
Okay.
She has some stuff she needs to address. Definitely sounds like there's been some insecurity with her and you all's friendship dynamic, where she hasn't felt good enough. She feels like she's having to compete. That's what it sounds like. I don't know her, obviously, but that's what it sounds like, because you were probably just telling her something to help, hopefully let her know, like, maybe we can work on this. Maybe you didn't realize you were doing it. And for her, it's like, in her head, again, that
It's
lens.
like something else.
Yeah, she's
lens.
exacerbated
Absolutely.
it. Huh. Yeah. I've had friendships too. Well, first of all, I want to say how proud I am of you, because you've been speaking up lately. Like, that is like that was a real challenge for you.
It was.
Yeah.
It
So
was.
kudos to you for even speaking
That's
up.
awesome.
But just to your point about the projection, like, I've been in scenarios where I'll do something that I think is completely normal, and I have a friend that just is like pissed to the highest pistivity, as my mom used to say. Just like, I'm like, what did I do? And I find myself, it's very hard for me, I'm not gonna lie, in those scenarios where I feel like I didn't do something. I feel like you're overreacting and you're projecting on me for me to find compassion and empathy in that space. And I think that's something that requires, somebody has to be the bigger person, quote unquote, in that scenario. Like, you really have to remove ego if you care about the friendship, and maybe talk about it later down the line. Maybe you bring it up again. But I found myself being the person that has to kind of remove my ego and be like, this person is clearly not able to meet me where I am right now. This person is clearly going through something, and nothing I will say in this moment is going to make the situation better, but me acknowledging how they feel. That's the only thing that's going to make it better.
So hard.
Yeah.
But
and
how
so
long
it's
do you
hard.
do that too?
Yeah, no, that's
Right?
that's right. And so I found myself
Yes.
where I was in a scenario where I always felt like I was the bad guy for saying the truth or saying what it was. And finally I was like, I'm not doing this no more. We gonna say the truth here. And I'm sorry that it hurt your feelings or that you feel like I'm being the boogeyman, but I can't bend over backwards anymore. So anyway, that's good stuff. So Quad, we saw your apology. We think you did a good job. It was a pretty good apology. Y'all go back and watch it and let us know if y'all thought that she owed them an apology at all. But let's get into ghosting. Let's get into it. What the people came for. What is ghosting? How would you define ghosting?
I would define ghosting as we've had a normal interaction. We're talking consistently, weekly, bi-weekly. You know, different friends, you have different rhythms and how often you talk to them. And then it just stops. And it stops out of the blue. Like a ghost.
Yeah.
Like a ghost.
Like Casper. It's like, where did you go? So literally like a ghost. It just stops abruptly. You can't think of a reason why. You find yourself trying to figure out, like, what did I do to cause this? Or, that's ghosting to me in short.
Yeah. Thoughts around ghosting, Tyler? What do you think? You said you used to do that.
I'm a recovering ghoster. Recovering ghost. And for me, it was just trying to avoid the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, and I wasn't really thinking about them. I was thinking about, like, okay, Tyler, like, you don't want to be in this friendship anymore. Like, this person did something that you just can't go back from, so you might as well just dip out. And I've always felt like if I did ghost, they kind of already knew. But I really do have a lot of respect for those friends who did not allow me to ghost. Because at first I'm like, oh, Lord, leave me alone. And then she's like, no, we're going to talk about this. But yeah, I'm understanding that ghosting really does have a really negative impact on the people who you ghost. Like I didn't realize it really like affects someone and makes them have issues with their own self-confidence.
Yeah, because you're sitting there thinking the whole time, like, did I say something? Did I do something? Am I a bad friend? Am I a good friend? What can I do? And it almost makes you be more aggressive and clingy and trying to get that person to talk to you. And it's like, talk to me. You're going to talk to me because I need to know. I had a friend that she would ghost a lot. Like, if she wasn't feeling it, she disappeared. Nobody would hear from her. And then sometimes she would pop back up like nothing happened. And I'll be like, hold up now. You've been gone for 2 weeks. We're going to have this conversation. So I want to talk a little bit about the factors of ghosting or in ghosting. Why do people ghost? Outside of avoidance, wanting to avoid a conversation, is there something deeper going on there?
Well, I would say what Taylor shared is definitely one of the more common reasons why people ghost, but also sometimes people are actually going through things.
Yeah.
So even when we think about the deeper piece, if we were to talk about the avoidance piece, sometimes there is a deeper thing of like what conflict reminds you of. Like, what is that rooted in? Where does that come from? How do you see conflict? Do you see it as, it doesn't matter what I say, nothing's going to change? Do you see it as, it doesn't matter, I'm going to just do me, I don't need people like that? So it kind of takes me back to like those attachment styles. It's like more of that like avoidant attachment type of thing, which can be sometimes deep-rooted, and sometimes you just don't want to deal with people, you know?
Yeah.
But then when you think about the other side of it, when people are actually going through things, I think that's the piece around ghosting that we don't really talk about or don't realize, is that sometimes people are really going through stuff and they're not intentionally trying to ghost you, but they're not present enough or aware of how they're showing up with people around them because of the space they're in.
So how can people be more aware of that? So I know a lot of times people will say, well, I was going through something, so that's why I ghosted you.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, welcome to the club.
Right, we all.
Welcome to the real life where everybody is going through something 24/7.
Yeah.
And granted, people might have different levels of coping abilities when it comes to stuff they're going through. And of course, there's things like depression, anxiety, and very serious things, right? But if you know that about yourself, how do you kind of get ahead of the game and like communicate with your friends in an effective way when it comes to ghosting?
So definitely, if you know that, right, because sometimes people avoid not accepting like something is going on with me mentally, emotionally. If you know that, you should start doing what you need to do to care for yourself. That's number one. So how are you addressing your mental and emotional health? What coping skills do you have in place? How are you showing up for yourself so you can actually show up for others? So, I mean, there's a super long list of things you can do to care for yourself. And I feel like a lot of people know that that's their history. Like I've had friends say, oh, I isolate. That's what I do. And we'll have the very real conversation of like, but that's not okay. If I don't know you're in an isolating state, if you don't express to me, how can I respect where you're at?
Because let me tell you what I'm about to do.
Right.
I'm about to stop calling your phone in a minute,
Right.
okay?
Right.
Like, and it's just, and that just is what it is.
Yep.
And I know some people think that's unfair or, that there should be more empathy there. But I am a firm believer that friendships are a two-way street.
Yes, they are.
And yes, you may be going through something, but as your friend, I don't care. Let's establish a bird call. Let's establish just text me pineapple. And I know that you're saying, I'm isolating right now. No offense. I'll come back out in a few. But if it's just like, I'm your bestie and I haven't heard from you in 3 or 4 days and I'm texting you and you've ghosted me. So I'm supposed to keep letting you do that every quarter?
It's not okay.
It's not okay. Sorry, I'm venting.
Oh, no, you're good.
Right
Because
now.
you're spot on.
Okay.
It's conversations, having the conversations.
I'm a processor, so I had to tell my friend, like, if we get in an argument or something, I don't want to talk to you the next day. And I had to tell her that. I'm like, I need a minute to calm down, like, and because she'll be like, hello, like, within 2 days, like, because I feel like maybe she might have, like, an abandonment issue or something, and she's like, wow, we got in this argument, now she doesn't want to talk to me. It's like, no, I still love you, but I don't like you right now. I need 3 business days, and then we can get back and have a discussion about it. But it's the communication is key.
That communication is always key. So we have a listener story. Okay, so let's get into it. So this person says, yes, I had a friend who decided to ghost everyone for 10 months and probably is still ignoring some people now. She finally reached out to me, but after ignoring my messages, letters I sent in the mail, and phone calls. So she wrote some snail mail, okay, and phone calls. She said when she reached out, I asked what happened. Her excuse was so lackluster, and I've been angry ever since. I clearly put myself on a high level of importance to her life, but I clearly wasn't. She clearly didn't think the same. Now she messages me twice a month and I don't respond. I'm still too angry to have a productive conversation. I really thought she died. And Lord have mercy, I really thought she died and the family was too distraught to tell me. I made a journal spread of my condolences and everything. Ugh. So
She thought she died. That's how much it was.
Yeah. So she didn't have a question. She just told us she thought her friend died because she ghosted her for so long.
Now
they haven't talked since.
I want to say she wrong. I want to say you are so wrong for that. Like, what? I had to write you mail,
like snail mail. Come on
to
now,
check on you.
Like for real. I had to do a wellness check, sister. So that was one question or one submission from our listeners. The next one is a story and a question at the end. All right, so this listener, Anonymous, she says, let's explore how a 26-year relationship ended over the span of 1 month. A friend of mine over 26 years who lived in a state about 4 hours away was hosting a slumber party for her birthday. The morning after the birthday happened, I needed to be at a very important meeting. I made a decision not to go to the party, even though I really wanted to, because it would be irresponsible of me to travel, party, and be in place the next morning in a suit. All was well at the time, and it appeared to be no harm, no foul. The following week, this same friend came to visit me in Atlanta, and we partied for the weekend celebrating her birthday at the time. Per our usual mode of operation, as she returned home, I asked her to call when she made it back safely. That never happened. I reached out, and she replied via text, yes, I made it home. Super tired. Talk later. The following day, I called to catch up as we typically talked on a daily or every other day basis. She didn't answer the phone and simply texted me and said she was in a meeting and would call later. No problem. I waited for her to call for a week and still hadn't heard from my best friend. So I called again. She texted back and said, I'll call you later. I responded, okay, just wanted to make sure you're okay. Another week went by, no call. I text jokingly, at this point, I feel like you're avoiding me. No response. 3 strikes, you're out. So I no longer called. I just waited for her to decide when she was going to call. It never happened. 6 months later, I received an extremely long text message in general saying
6 months later.
Say how hurt she was. Like, sister has been sitting in her room
6 months.
preparing this message for 6 months, okay? And how hurt she was that I did not go to her birthday party, and how I treat my other friends better than how I treat her, because she watched me on Instagram celebrate other birthdays. And this is the reason why she disappeared. Unfortunately, from my perspective, there was nothing left for me to say after 6 months, and I left the message alone. I truly value my friendships, but this just didn't seem like one that was valued equally. And the fact that she couldn't have the conversation with me says a lot about how she felt about me as a friend, which was enough for me to say, have a great life and wish you well. I do not harbor any hurt, and I wish her the best, but I choose to be in company of people who can have adult conversations when conflict arises. Am I wrong for not responding? XOXO, living my life in peace with great friends around me.
Nope.
What are y'all's thoughts? Is she wrong for not responding?
I'm gonna let the professional
that
go
text?
first before I give my two cents.
I would say no, she's not wrong.
Okay.
I think, obviously, she wouldn't have been wrong if she did, and it's okay that she didn't, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
After 6 months of someone disengaging, ghosting, right, as we're talking about, completely ghosting, disengaging with you, after we've spent all this time and we've had all these years of friendship, if you don't value this friendship enough, after all these years, that you can't have a conversation with me that's uncomfortable, you don't value this friendship.
Not at all.
You know, so blessings on your journey is one of the things I like to say.
Blessings and blessings. Hashtag blessings.
Peace, and as she said, and choosing people that choose you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. What would you do in that
6 months
scenario?
is way too long.
Yeah.
It's so long.
That's way too long. Like,
Girl, I done went and got married at this point. I done got me had a baby. I don't need so much
Not
I done
interested
did.
no more.
We're hearing a similar trend of
Yeah.
friends comparing themselves to
Other friends.
right?
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, you
Yeah.
couldn't come to my birthday party, but you can go to her birthday party. And it's like, you don't even know the situation.
You don't know the circumstances.
Nothing. And so I think that we have to manage our own expectations.
You know what's also a common theme? Social media. I think social media is playing a big role in how we operate in our friendships. Because I know we talked about on one of our other episodes about feeling left out. Half of this stuff we would not even know if it wasn't for social media. You looking at somebody's stories and you're like, oh, she hanging out with such and such.
You didn't invite me.
Yeah, and they didn't invite me. You wouldn't know that.
You would have no idea.
If we were back in the 60s or 70s, you know? So that's just something that I thought about. But I think we have one more letter.
Yes, and this one is kind of breaking down her reason why she had to ghost someone. So you kind of let us know if you feel like this is a good reason. So she said she understands friendships go through a bunch of different stages, but she wants to talk about a situation that began in high school. And so that kind of lost its value as they got older. So she began to notice the difference in values as they entered adulthood, especially through lifestyle choices. So I'm not really sure what that means, but they doing different things in life. So she started to notice the reliance on trauma bonding to maintain the cadence of the communication. So they never bonded about goals. They never bonded about their successes or things they wanted to do in life. They only bonded on drama and issues and setbacks. And she felt like this friendship was more one-sided, and she felt like her empathy was just being used to justify their bad decisions. And she said, we both value loyalty, so I didn't question it as much until she went through her own life crisis. So what happened to her is she had to have 15 pounds of tumors removed from her body. So going through a lot of, medical stuff. And her friend wasn't there for her. She said it was not a big deal because she already had a big support system, and she had already had this other stress, so she wasn't trying to really focus on her friend not being there. Post-surgery, she made very different decisions about how she would coexist in these friendships. She said her friends saw her resilience as a testament to how much she can handle, but still kept deciding to trauma dump on her, despite how much she told her, like, this is not what I'm trying to do with you anymore. So then she said the friend went through some pretty shocking moments after her surgery involving situations with homelessness, suicide, seems like domestic violence in here. And she attempted to offer her support by saying like, oh, you can go to this therapist, you can get support this way. Maybe you need to have a deeper relationship with God. But she learned that the former friend was only interested in bringing her the drama because they were trauma bonding, right? She wasn't really looking for support. So she said after a few months, the friend sent a text and said that she noticed some negative energy. And that's the audacity. Negative energy. And she said the text came after she had been hospitalized again, needed 4 blood transfusions and all these other things. And so instead of her responding, she ghosted the friend. She said, my lack of response was a response, and it was clear that it was impossible to have a healthy relationship with this friend. And instead of explaining herself, she allowed the relationship to fade to black, and she has not looked back since.
Okay, so she was the ghoster in this scenario.
She was the ghoster.
And she doesn't sound like she regrets it either. So, thoughts on her being the ghoster? Is there ever, I guess the question more is there ever a good time or a valid time to ghost someone?
I feel like that's a valid time to go what she just shared. And the reason why is because she tried.
She did.
I think that is the steps before when you have to make a decision and say, you know what, I have to leave this where it is. I can't continue to pour and give and pull and hope that somebody will catch on. She tried. She had the conversation. She gave her the resource. I say all the time, all you can do is give people resources. What they do with it is beyond you. She gave her the resource. She did all the things, literally all the things she could do as a friend. Even tried to help her see, like, this is how I'm experiencing you. And that friend decided to stay in her mess.
She was like, well, this is what I want to talk
decided
about.
to do that.
Yeah.
And you have to decide, hey, that this doesn't continue to serve me in any positive way. If she continued to engage, she recognized that it would have continued to be what it is. So I think that's I wouldn't even consider that ghosting. That is making a choice to take care of yourself.
Yeah, self-care.
Yeah.
At that point. Yeah. But don't y'all get it twisted out there because I know how y'all like to mix and mingle. Self-care is one thing. Ghosting is another thing. And we've already said what needs to happen prior to you just disappearing. You have to try. You have to communicate. You have to tell the person what your experience is. All of those things before you just like, girl, I'm about to block you. Okay? Do not disturb.
Yep.
All right, so I think what we've concluded today here is that ghosting does happen, that it's not healthy, it's not a healthy trait, right? And that if we are going to ghost, for it to be considered a valid reason, we have to have done all of the steps and things prior to.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, what's your takeaway, Tyler, as a recovering ghoster?
My takeaway is that I have to actually try. I can't just be like, I'm upset, you made me mad, we're done, I'm not talking to you ever again. And I definitely cannot wait 6 months and then tell somebody how I feel. So it's kind of like giving yourself that time to
I wonder where that
reflect.
lady is right now, that 6-month lady.
Without friends.
Imagine sending a whole paragraph text and not getting a reply in 6 months. That's what you get, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What goes around comes around. All right. Where can we find you on Instagram?
Yes, I can be found at Exalt the Light LLC on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of them. So it's spelled EXALTTHELIGHT LLC.
All right, ladies, make sure you follow us on Instagram at The Black Girls Social Club. Click the link in our bio to see all the things, all the wonderful things we have going on. Remember, we open for membership every quarter, so check that out if you're looking for a sisterhood near you. But until then, remember that being a good friend is a blessing. To have a good friend is an even bigger blessing. See you next time. Cheers.